So, let's walk through downloading, installing, and setting up your Prusa slicer. Once you have a file from your Fusion, you save as mesh to your STL, you have to put it through the slicer to get the code that will run on the 3D printer. So you're going to go to prusaslicer.net, links in Edsby, and that will take you here. You'll click on download. Obviously important to go get the Mac version. Thank you very much. Don't need this. Yay, pop-ups. Okay. Once that is downloaded, going, you're going to open it and install it. Let's show you what that looks like. I already have it, so I'm not going to walk through all the processes, but this will get us partway there. Ta-da. Okay. Pop that open. Prusa slicer. And this is one of those basic ones where you just drag this over and install it here. I already have that. I'm not going to do that. We're all set. Once you install it, go through the pop-ups, you'll be fine. Once you have it, I would suggest sticking it in your dock. You're going to use it a few times for this class. It will open eventually. There we go. This is your slicer. Now, when it opens for you, it will probably bring up the configuration assistant, which looks like, yep, installing some profiles. All right, whatever. Configuration. So if it doesn't pop up, go to configuration assistant, and we will walk through from there. Okay, so it should look like this. Might be white, like whatever, depends on your screen settings. We are going to go next here. Don't bother to log in. You don't need to log in, not a problem, just hit next. This one, if it comes up from the download, they'll be all checked in. Just uncheck these three. The only one you need is the top one. It keeps it from downloading excess stuff. Like, that'll be great. Next, it'll download things and pop up to here. So the one you need to check is this one. This is the newer version, larger version, yay. But let's grab that. And we don't need this, hit next. This one, click on none so that you clear all the checkboxes. You only need one set, and the set that we use is the generic PLA. Generic, here we go, generic PLA. Boop, 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 boop. Make sure you get the right one. Yeah. This is the one that puts the settings for the material we use so that it's got all the right temperature information, etc. Hit next. These are fine. Hit next. Also fine. Next. Ignore that. Advanced mode, expert mode. Either of those. Don't keep it in simple mode. You need access to some of the tools. Advanced will give you most of them, but expert gives you all of them. We're going to use some of those options. Then you will be at the end and you can click finish. And we get finish, we're here. Fabulous. That's the installation process. Let me give you a quick once over about what we're doing now. Double check over here. I have this set to a couple of things that are a little bit off the beaten path. See how you can have some user presets. Your other presets are under print settings. The other thing you would want to do is go to, what are we doing? Infill right here and support material. So support material, the default is grid, but the organic tends to be better for most of the things that we do, and it doesn't attach as much to your prints. It's easier to pull off. It uses less material, like generally better idea. So I would select organic here. That's really the bulk of it. Yeah. And this part of our fill densities does not need to be 20%. 10% is fine, 12% is fine, it's fine. And there are lots of options for infill here in terms of the shapes that it makes on the inside. Let's leave it as a grid for now. And then if you decide later that you see something you want to try or you have a reason to try something else, then we can do that. But let's do that for now. Once you have all of those settings, let's bring in an STL. I am going to pull up somebody's STL. I'm going to grab a couple of things. I want to show you how you can arrange things on the plate. I just imported 3 files, and in order, like, they all come in at the same point in the center. So I want to spread them out, but I don't have to work at it. So if I click on this, it'll rearrange them so they're far enough apart from each other. As you can see, I essentially have 2 amulets and then something from a different project. I want to talk about flatbacks and supports at a starting point. One of the things that you might see here, let's see, let me zoom in. These have flatbacks here and here and here. However, this is not a flatback. And if we look at, oops, spin this way. If we look at this sideways, we can see how this is touching here, but it's not touching here. There's a big gap between it and the plate. That won't work that way, so it's going to need to have supports, or I need to tilt it. So one of the things that you can do is select an object, particularly if your object comes in and the back is not sitting on the plate for some reason. You can put a face onto the plate. So I have some options here. I could put this face on the plate, which flips it over, gives me a different range of supports that I would need. I could put it this way on the plate, which would stand it up, and actually it might print a little bit better that way. It's also going to take a while. It's a little tall. It's not too tall. If it were too tall, it would turn blue and tell me I'm outside of the scope of the settings. But that's how that place the flat part on the bed works. You click on an object, you click on the tool, you can, like I just flipped it over, you can flip it back, you can put it sideways, like whatever you need to do to make that happen. So I could stand it up this way, which obviously wouldn't work very well. And let me flip it back to the flat side. Okay, so that's good. Another thing you might want to do is use a brim. A brim on this one, I would want a brim because I want it to stay down. There's a lot of like little pieces here that are that might curl up, particularly the little wingy things at the bottom, or my loop. Oh, my loop is going to need supports too, because you can see it's not flat on the back. So that's probably going to need some supports. So there's some things I would want to play with there. Let me flip this back over. There we go. So you do want to think about the supports that you're going to need for the loop. This one solved that problem by making a loop through a more of a solid, so it goes through and it hangs on the necklace a little straighter and flatter, which is great, without a jump ring. Nice design idea. Anyway, when you get these all set, I would suggest start with seeing where the supports get built. If you put it for everywhere, it'll put supports everywhere. If you hit slice now, it then slices the file, right? This is the brim that we're talking about. This is what helps it stay down. The supports, this one thinks it needs supports in the loop, but it doesn't actually need supports in there because it's a circle. So that's kind of annoying. If I were just printing this, I would print it without supports, and that would be fine. Obviously, the hand would need some supports up under here to keep it from falling apart. So that would be another one. So I might print these separately for those reasons, but just to show you, right? If I go back and I want to be like, okay, let's take those supports out, click back on this block, takes it back to this stage, and then I can say here, all right, I'm going to do no supports. And then if I slice, there are no supports, even though the computer thinks, you really should have some supports. You can decide if you're going to have them or where you're going to put them. But if you don't have them in the right places, the print will fail, right? So those are some things to think about. The other thing that you can do, and this is kind of fun, is if you're like, okay, I know I need supports. Like, for example, I really think I'm going to need supports under this loop here. Maybe not. It's pretty close. I can select my object and click on this thing. This is painting on supports, right? I can use my brush to paint here, like paint on the thing, right? And you can see I kind of made a mess of it, whatever. Or I can say Smart Fill, and if I click on just this, it will fill in just this object, because really that's the only thing I need supports on. I don't want it on the back of this at all. So you can do supports that way too. If you have custom supports, I've just put in custom supports, that's what this error message is. Anytime you see an error message, take the time to figure out what it's telling you, right? This is saying an object has custom support enforcers. This is telling us that there are no supports. You have to change that. So we want support enforcers only, which means it's only going to give you the supports where you put that purple, right? Got it? Okay. So there are some choices. I'm going to go back out of that mode, zoom back out, flip this back around. If you have something in there you want to delete, just select it and hit the delete key. No problem. We can rearrange these things. Now, I think we're good, right? I have a brim I know I want. I have the supports only on my loop. This one doesn't need supports anywhere, even because it's a circle, and it can print a circle okay. It'll be a little messy, but it'll be fine. Infill of 10%. Looks like we're good. Okay, so now I'm going to slice that. The interesting thing about this, when this file comes up, right, it will tell you this is going to take a total of 14 minutes. Not that long. These are pretty small and pretty thin, so it'll print pretty quickly. Your amulets might take anywhere from 15 minutes to an hour, right? Maybe. Hopefully not longer than that, or they're too big. Now I'm going to export my G-code, right? The G-code is what we need to put on the 3D printer in order to print. You please, please, please have your name on this. Amulet's fine, but like have your name, first name, last name. First name probably would be even better. This tells you that this is the nozzle that it's set to for the machine. This is the setting I have for my speed, right? Notice the numbers are the same. Also notice, I'm going to hit my little thing here, that it says 14 minutes. This code includes the time it takes to print. Leave that on there. Don't just truncate the name of the file to your name. Make sure it keeps the rest of this in there, because it just makes it easier for everybody to see how long it's going to take, right? So we know if we're waiting a long time or a little time to get this done. Make sure this is set to your desktop or wherever you're going to find it. Save the file. Then, right, it's just a matter of putting that file on the flash drive that goes to the printer and seeing it come up, make sure it's the right file, and then hit start, and it should be fine. You always want to check back a couple of minutes after you get it started to make sure it's starting and sticking to the printer bed. Then come back and get it when it's done. And when it's done, you're going to take the bed out carefully. You're going to remove your amulet carefully so you don't break anything. And then you're going to put it on your shelf so we don't lose it. Okay? So that's the plan. Let's see how it goes. I am always available to help, but this will help you get started and get as far as you can before you have questions. Oh, and this is, you can see how it really didn't need supports on that little loop, but it has a couple there anyway. So there we go. Good luck.